And you had a Brazilian in this movie.
We did indeed.
Yeah. How was it like to work with Sonia?
Fabulous. Really, really fabulous. She's just like this ball of energy and light, and she's just fabulous. She's hilarious, and she's obviously wildly talented, and it was wonderful being able to work with her.
Did you learn anything in Portuguese with her?
No. I actually didn't. I'm sure she'd be a fabulous teacher, but
I know there is no space for Portuguese in this movie, but did you see anything from her, any movie that she did before?
I actually haven't. That's the truth. I don't really watch a lot of films or TV, apart from I watch a lot of reality television and a lot of like old horror films, which is why this is a pretty good setup for me.
And I guess you watched the first one.
Yeah, yep. Big time.
Do you remember when it was the first time you saw the movie?
Yeah, I was like 11. I was like 11 years old.
Really?
Yeah, and it stayed with me for sure. I loved it so much, and it's something that's stayed with me from 11 all the way to 24, and now I get to be a part of it, which is a real gift for a little horror geek like me.
And why do you love scary movies? What do they bring to you?
I think that there's something about them that, like, it's the same reason why you love going on a roller coaster. Like, it's like, it's just this real human thing where we like to sort of test our emotions and test our boundaries, and fear is like the most human thing we all feel, I think. You know, it can unify us, it can separate us, it's the start and the cause of so many things. And when you go in and you purposefully scare yourself, it's like an adrenaline rush, and especially if you do it with all your friends in a giant cinema. It's like such a uniting experience, all screaming at something at the same time.
How hard was for you? It was challenging knowing that there are a lot of fans for this franchise?
It's a lot of pressure. It's pressure because horror fans, we're intense. Like, it's like you have to get it right, especially about movies that are so respected, like The Omen and The Exorcist and The Shining, and these movies that like people really treasure and people really like, you know, geek out over, myself included. So it's pressure. I was terrified. I was like, if I don't get this right, like I'm going to be in trouble. Like there's going to be some angry blogs about me. So luckily the response has been lovely so far. So hopefully that continues and people enjoy it. And yeah.
And how was it like the energy shooting in Rome, in the center of a Catholic world? This kind of movie, how was it like for you?
I mean, Rome sort of ended up being a bit of a character in the movie. It was fantastic. It's always lovely to live in Rome, you know. And we were all there together, and being on location, it definitely adds to the experience of making a movie or a TV show, because these people become your everyday. They become your go-to and your first port of call, and you know. It's because you're all experiencing the same insane thing together, and you're kind of the only people who can relate to each other, because everyone else is like, what do you mean you did that at work today? And it's like, I know, it sounds crazy, but I promise you it's normal for me. So being around people who can really like empathize with that is such a fantastic thing. And yeah, I mean, Rome is just a beautiful city. I've been lucky enough to work there twice now, and hopefully I get to go back.
And what do you like about your character the most?
I loved my character. I loved her. I mean, I kind of love all my characters, even if they're not because they're like an extension of me, just because maybe that is why. Maybe, but I don't know. I just think when you spend so much time pretending to be a person, you end up definitely having a soft spot for them, for sure. And you get connected to these people that you're pretending to be, because they kind of turn into you. And yeah, I loved Margaret. I thought that she was complex and interesting, and I loved her trajectory and her path and all of the choices that she made. And I think that she reacted in these situations like anybody would. You know, it was like none of it felt like kind of like cheesy and like just injected there just for the moment, or like, you know, it just felt like this young girl, when I was reading it, was like just having a series of awful things happen to her and just kind of being like, oh my God, can I catch a break? Anyone, please? which I loved. I think that's how we'd all react if this was happening to us.
And was it scary in any moment while you are shooting the movie?
Mostly no. I
No.
mean, to be honest with you, mostly no. I mean, mostly it can be quite funny because you take a step back and you're realizing you're doing these absurd things, absurd hours of the day. Like, and then you're surrounded by, at that point, hopefully your friends. And it's like, what are we doing? But there was one moment where I had this hood put over my head and I'm claustrophobic, and also I couldn't really see, and it was very hot in the room, and it felt very real in that moment. So I found myself panicking a little bit, but which was perfect because I needed to panic in the scene, so it's helpful. As long as it gets a good shot, I'll do it.
Nice. And did you bring anything from Lynn, your character in Game of Thrones, to Margaret?
From Leanne?
Yeah.
To be honest, even though they're both existing in like similar genre-led films and TV, they're actually fantastically different people. I think like Leanne and Margaret as characters go. Like Margaret, I guess one thing they do share is their faith, and that at the beginning of both of their stories, when we meet them, they both cling to their faith very tightly, and they do both have tumultuous childhoods where, in their opinion, in their eyes, faith kind of brought them out of that. So I suppose they have similarities circumstantially. But Leanne's very centered and, controlled, and is always watching and observing, and her cadence is very slow and commanding. And Margaret's just kind of a bit more like me, really, a bit more just kind of all over the place and just trying to get through the day.
That's nice. And do you think this is a big moment for women in scary movies?
Yeah, absolutely. I think just for horror in general, we're having a bit of a horror renaissance. People are coming back. People are starting to go to the cinema again and watch these movies as they were intended to be watched. And having Arkasha at the helm of this one was, I think, just a fantastic choice and decision because she's so the right person for this film. Like, she was just the right person through and through, And then some of the topics in the movie are sensitive, particularly to women and things that women have to face in society. And it obviously lends itself having a woman there and overseeing everything and, handling it with sensitivity. But a man is absolutely capable of doing the same thing too. Mm-hmm. I just think Arkasha was the perfect person to direct this movie.
Mm-hmm. And how was to be back in the 70s?
It was great. I loved it. I kind of wish I was born in the 70s anyway, so it was fun to pretend I was there for a couple months.
It's nice. Just to finish, what fans and people in Brazil can expect from you and from this movie?
I think that they can hopefully it delivers some well thought out scares. Hopefully people come out feeling happy that the film was made and feeling like that they've gotten a little bit more out of the story of The Omen.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
In Portuguese, obrigada.
Obrigada.
One word for you.
Obrigada.
Yeah, obrigada.